So we are in the middle, after a bit of a break, we're still in the middle of Mishnah 14, the Mishnah that was said by Hillel, famous Mishnah of Im an ein ani li mi li, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? That was the first part of the Mishnah. The second part of the Mishnah, which we're going to put up on the screen, says ukishe'ani la'atzmi, but if I am for myself, ma'ani, what am I? And we'll probably not get to that today. If not now, when? If I am for myself, what am I? Is a little bit of maybe missing a word, because it could really be, if I am only for myself, what am I? So a few different ideas expressed on this Mishnah, starting with Rashi, which is, Rashi goes under the understanding, there is so much responsibility that we really have as human beings and as creations of Hashem, that even if I do things, it says before we said, if I'm not for me, if I'm not going to do things for myself, no one else is going to do. Rashi said, if I don't do the mitzvahs, who's going to do it for me, right? No one else can do it for me. And now he says, but even if I do it myself, still, what do we, you think I've done everything? You think I'm so great? I haven't, I really have not accomplished that much, because there's so much to do that I really have only really, it's a drop in the bucket. So it's really impossible for a human being to do everything. In fact, Rabbi Yonah expresses the idea maybe a little more with a mashal, with a parable, and he says that the king has a bunch of servants, and he gives them a job, and he says, "I want you to work my field, and I want you to produce a certain amount." So let's say it was 30 core, 30 bushels, whatever exactly it was, 30 bushels, we'll call it. And they go in there and they work the field, and they work very hard, and they only produce 5. And they're working. We're not talking about slackers. They really worked hard. And then they come back and they said, "Look, this is what we were able to produce." And he says, "What's going on? I told you to produce 30." And they say, "Well, we worked very hard. We weren't wasting time, but you gave us a lousy field to work. Wasn't a fertile, the soil wasn't so good. So this is all we were able to produce." And he says that, human being, we are created, we also have a Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is causing us to be not such a fertile field. And therefore, even when we work hard, we're not going to be able to do everything. We're going to be able to accomplish a certain amount, but we're sort of like fighting with one hand tied behind our backs. And that's if you are working. Imagine if you're not. If you're not working, you're not going to produce anything, right? If you have an infertile soil, if you have a lousy field and you don't do any work, it's not going to grow by itself at all. If you work hard at it, you could produce something. Okay, so a human being, we got to work hard in order to produce. And if we are going to be able to work hard, then we'll produce something at least. But if we don't, we're not going to be able to. Couple of other angles. So Rabbi Lau points out that, even if we do, can we ever repay Hashem for everything that He has given us? No matter how much we do, really, the amount of gratitude that we really owe is limitless and boundless. And also in terms of learning, no matter how much you learn, and we've talked about this idea, there's so much more, right? The depth and breadth of Torah is so great, and of knowledge is so great, you can't possibly do it all, but you got to try and do as much as you can. It's a similar idea in another area of chesed and kindness, right? Not only, so really he's taking the approach of looking at the Torah, avoda, and gemilot chasodim. If you, in all 3 categories, you can never do it all. So you strive to do as much as possible, but you're never gonna make, and therefore never be satisfied and say, "Oh, look how much I've done." Another angle is, if I'm only for myself, if I don't share with others, if I don't teach others, right? If I just learn for myself and I don't teach others, again, what am I? Why are we learning? We're learning because we want to do what Hashem wants. We're serving Hashem. Well, what about other people? Aren't you withholding it from them? If you're not giving to them, if you're not sharing with them and giving them the ability to do so as well, so then you're withholding from them that great opportunity. And so what kind of a person are you if you're just doing, oh, only I'm only for myself? Think about if you have something, in physically, right? And you have something that's able to enjoy, and you're not going to share. You're only going to do it for yourself, right? So people, you're selfish. It's the same thing in spirituality. You're being selfish if you're only doing it for yourself. Oh, excuse me. And then the Tiferes Yisrael, who looks at this whole thing in the terms of the idea of arrogance and gaiva, and he says, when you're doing something, if you're doing it, what's the reason why you're doing it? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing, if you're only doing it for yourself because to get for what you're going to get out of it, right? An arrogant person wants what's coming to me, right? What am I going to get out of it? And sometimes people do things, even good things, not for the real reason. So if you're doing something that's good for the sake of doing it, the good thing, or you're doing it or you're doing it for the sake of this is what Hashem wants, then that's the right attitude. But sometimes we do good things and we say, I'm not really doing it for the sake of the good thing. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. I'm doing it because I'm going to look good, right? It's going to make me better in the eyes of other people. If that's the reason you're doing it, then what are you doing? That does not have value. So if you're doing it if you're doing a good thing for yourself and only for your own ulterior motives and your own purposes, then what are you? Then what's the purpose of that good thing? It's not really, doesn't have the value. And since we have this, that idea, I think is extremely important when we want to be able to share, and it ties in with what we said before, that we're doing things, we're doing mitzvahs, we're learning Torah, we're serving Hashem, not just for it's not for ourselves, it's for Hashem's sake, and it's for the glory of Hashem's name, and also to be able to share that with others so that other people will be able to benefit from it as well. And if we're only doing it for ourselves, then that's called selfish. And therefore, uksha'ani la'atzmi, if I'm only for myself, ma'ani, then really what am I? And we'll hold it here. Have a great day, everyone.